To the flow.
Pete May Podcast.
What?
Pete May Podcast.
What?
Pete May Podcast.
What?
Pete May Podcast. PMP,
Yeah.
baby. Hello and welcome to the Pete May Podcast, PMP. The sound effects are back. They're never going to go. I think they're too good. So, this is episode number 3 of the PMP, the Pete May Podcast. Welcome. You are listening to this courtesy of Chris Edkins Recording.co.uk. He has lent me his studio again. Thank you very much, Chris. Very, very kind of you. Thanks very much. So, let's get on with the podcast for this evening. First up, I just wanted to give a quick mention out to probably the cutest animal in the world, the thumb monkey. Thumb monkeys are tiny monkeys the size of a thumb, in case you didn't guess from the name. Probably the cutest animal in the world. The juxtaposition with that is probably the naked the naked mole rat, which is essentially the ugliest animal in the world. It is like a penis with teeth. So that was the most beautiful animal in the world and probably the most ugly. Alright, so this evening we are going to get started straight away with the non-researched animal story of the week, which is this week, again unresearched, is about the female brown trout. The female brown trout, as you can imagine, is a trout. It's brown, it's got some spots on it, but what's really interesting about the female brown trout is that she fakes orgasms, which is unbelievable. So what happens is the female brown trout, she just lies around in the sand a bit, looks around a bit, just waiting for some males to come up. When it's mating season, she sees one that she sort of likes, but knows there's probably a better option if she just waits a little bit longer. So what happens with most fish is that instead of actually having penetrative intercourse, they sort of just shake their bodies a bit. And what happens is the female shakes her body as she releases eggs. The male loves the body shaking, starts shaking his own body ferociously, and then will release his sperm. But what happens with the female brown trout is that she sees a man she likes, or sort of likes, not really sure, and then she just starts to bury a little hole in the sand, which is where she'll put her eggs, so they're nice and safe. They're all nestled up, and then she starts shaking, which gets the male brown trout very excited, to the point where he ejaculates prematurely because she's faked an orgasm. And then what that means she can do is she can then wait for another guy and then have a real orgasm and actually release eggs. Again, I haven't researched this at all. It's just something that another person told me about, and I thought you would like to hear it. And as usual, what I thought I would do this week is compare that to humans. So let's think of a scenario, shall we? You've been out in a club. Let's go with the club scenario. Met a girl, bought her a couple of drinks. She shakes her ass on the dance floor a bit, which gets you in the mood, gets the old thingy going. And that was perfect. I didn't know that one was going to be that one. I'm pleased with that. And then you go back to hers, and oh wait, this happens all the time, doesn't it? She fakes the orgasm to get it over and done with quickly. You fall asleep, and there we go. So that is this week's non-researched animal story of the week. Okay, so what other things I want to talk about this week? The UFC, there's Bisping versus Anderson, which happened in London, in the UK, on Saturday night. A few things to talk about this. There was a few British fighters on the scene. They did pretty well generally. Brad Pickett, the veteran, managed to get a decision win. He was apologising after the fight to the fans for not performing well enough and not knocking out people. But I thought he had a good performance. It later was transpired that he would have retired had he not won the fight. So well done, Brad Pickett. And then the main event, which was Michael the Count Bisping versus Anderson the Spider Silva. If you don't know much about UFC, Anderson the Spider Silva Silva is a veteran. He's 40 years old. A lot of people would regard him as the greatest of all time. He's only lost a few fights, I think, but the two of them he lost against Chris Weidman. One when he was goading Weidman to punch him, put his hands down, so Weidman knocked him out. And the second one was he kicked Weidman in the body, and Weidman's stomach, I think, was so powerful that it broke Anderson's leg in half. He got a double compound fracture, which unfortunately ended the fight. But the Bisping Anderson fight was unbelievable. I tried to watch it. There was a lot of people complaining because the fight was described and marketed as the first BBC coverage of the UFC fight. Normally it's on BT Sport, and you know, everyone pays for well, not everyone, but you should pay for a license to hold and watch BBC. And what actually happened was they had text updates on the BBC Sport website, which when you look at Twitter got people absolutely furious. But the fight itself was an incredible fight. It went 5 rounds and went to a decision. The best round of all for me was round 3, Bisping and Anderson. I mean, Bisping I thought was very good. It was a very close fight. Bisping was boxing Anderson very well. His footwork was great. Lots of short little jabs, which was incredible. Then Anderson caught Bisping, I think it was with a left hook, and Bisping's mouthpiece came out and landed on the floor. He looked over at the ref, Herb Dean, and was saying to him, I need to put my mouthpiece back in. Herb Dean didn't stop the fight, instead looked away from the action, decided to pick up the mouth guard. In the meantime, Anderson Silva was literally going to town on Bisping's face. Eventually, Anderson threw a flying knee, which knocked Bisping to the ground. Anderson ran off, started celebrating, was loving life. His cornermen were all coming in, and all of a sudden the buzzer of the round went off to finish the round at the 3rd round. And it turns out that Herb Dean hadn't stopped the fight at all. Anderson thought he'd won, he hadn't. Bisping was saying he was fine. And then the fight went 2 more rounds in which Anderson and Bisping were very, very close. And in the end, the decision went to Bisping, which was great for the UK. I think the problem is that really Bisping... A lot of people were saying Bisping won the fight. A lot of people were saying Anderson won the fight. So there's some controversy there. But I felt that some of the comments that were being made about Bisping winning because he's from the UK and it was a UK fight were probably a little bit harsh. It was a very close fight. I'm no fight referee, but I had it 3 rounds to 2 Bisping. I know Dana White, the owner of the UFC, had it 3 rounds to 2 Silva, so who knows. But what a great fight, and what a great warm-up to this weekend's unbelievable fight, which was due to be Conor McGregor versus Rafael dos Anjos, but dos Anjos pulled out with a foot injury. McGregor called it a bruised foot and called him a pussy, and everyone else is saying that it was a really badly broken foot and there was no way he could fight. There was reasons. Why would dos Anjos leave the fight? At the end of the day, this is the biggest money fight for dos Anjos. Conor McGregor holds all the records in terms of numbers, pay-per-view buys, etc, etc. Why would he pull out of the fight? But anyway, so there was lots of back and forth on Twitter, and now the fight is Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, which is great for the shit talking. Nate Diaz is as big a shit talker as Conor McGregor. The trouble is Conor McGregor is in air quotes educated. Nate Diaz just seems like he's taken a few too many hits in his time. McGregor at the press conference was coming at him with some pretty clever, funny statements, and Nate Diaz basically sounded like Rocky after a fight and was just like, I don't give a fuck, and was very uneducated. But I think it's going to be a great fight. I think that McGregor wins inside 1 round, if I'm honest. We'll have to wait and see, but Diaz has only had 2 weeks of camp, which just isn't enough, I don't think, to beat the movement of McGregor, so let's wait and see. On the other hand, McGregor's going up 2 weight classes to 170. God knows what's going to happen there, but I think it will be an extremely interesting fight. Let's wait and see what happens. I will report back next week after Saturday night. It's definitely worth watching. Other things in the news this week which were really, really great to see. The stuff of dreams for Manchester United, who thrashed Midtjylland and then beat Arsenal 3-2. But the biggest story coming out of this was that this guy who is called Marcus Rashford, who's 18, 6'1", runs 100 metres as fast as Usain Bolt, scored 4 goals in 2 games, two goals in each of the games. It's the stuff of dreams. He's 18 years old. I read up about him. Apparently, when he was 10 years old, he was scoring 20 goals per game, and the games were 10 minutes long. His manager used to have to sub him off because he was scoring too many goals, and a lot of people, the under-10s, a lot of the kids in the opposition were crying because they were getting beaten so badly. So it's only natural this guy scores. It's the stuff of dreams. Let's hope he can keep it up, because I think he's a name for the future. Marcus Rashford. Baby. Anyway, so we also wanted to do a bit of Cantankerous Man this week. Unfortunately, I don't think the Cantankerous Man is available, so we will make it up next week, I'm sure. I might try and give him a ring a bit later, because he'll probably be annoyed that I've even tried to ring him when he said he's not available, which could also in itself be quite interesting and funny to hear. But we'll see how that goes. Alright, so we've been doing a Ask Google section last week, and this week I thought we would try something a little bit different. Ask Siri. Siri, as you know, is the weird voice inside your phone. When you ask it a question, it seems to answer. A few people I've been speaking to about it say that you will get some pretty good answers if you ask it the right questions. So let's give that a try. Let me just load Siri up. Okay. It's asking me something.
Okay.
Okay, it's working. Let's try again. Siri, beatbox.
Here's one I've been practicing: boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and boots. I could do this all day. Cats and boots and 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 cats.
Wow. Thank you, Siri. That was pretty impressive. I want to try another one. We'll try the next one, which is... let me just check what else I was told to ask. Siri, roll a die.
Okay. 6.
Siri, roll a die.
Rolling. Okay. 4.
So you've got a dice on your phone. That's pretty bloody impressive. Well done, Siri. And then lastly, we will ask Siri if we can borrow some money. We all need a bit of money. Siri, can I borrow some money?
Okay, Peter, here is what I found.
It's giving me banks. Let's see if I can... Lend me some money, Siri.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Wow, some nice, almost Shakespearean quote from Siri, which is absolutely incredible. I love the beatbox one. I wonder if it will do something different. We'll give it another try. Hopefully it's not cats and dogs. Beatbox.
Here's one I've been practicing: boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats and...
Okay, it does the same. What a shame, but beatboxing Siri. Well done, Siri. I'm pleased with that. Alright, so try some for yourself. Maybe you can write in or email us or put us on Twitter about the questions you've been asking Siri and what weird answers you've got. I've got a question to ask Siri which I'd heard today. I was asked this today and I thought it was an amazing question. It blew my mind. So let's try. Siri.
I'm not sure what you said.
I haven't said anything. Siri, if I eat myself, will I become twice as big or will I disappear completely?
Okay, give me a moment. Here's what I found on the web for: if I eat myself, will I become twice as big or when I disappear completely?
Alright, let's see what the answer is. It's giving me some internet. So, if I eat myself, would I be twice as big or disappear completely? I think if you think about that, that's an incredible question. It's pretty mind-blowing, I think. Just thinking to do that. So, Jeffrey Widdowson Engineer, reader, thinker, dreamer, scientist, scholar, latter-day saint is how he describes himself, charming, says, neither, but disappearing is probably closer to the truth. The conservation of matter demands you can't just disappear. All of your mass has to go somewhere. If you digested your own tissues, most of the mass would end up being exhaled as carbon dioxide and water vapour. The undigested parts would be excreted out as poo. Now, of course, you can't eat yourself entirely, but there are a species of worm that can digest up to 95% of their body. And they survive, apparently, after that. So technically, any time you've lost weight, you're consuming part of your own body or mass to release energy. In theory, you could digest your entire body. Most of you would drift away in the air, and the remnants would be deposited as small piles of poo. So thank you very much, Jeffrey Widdowson, engineer, reader, thinker, dreamer, scientist, scholar, latter-day saint, for your insightful information. I thought that was a great question. I would love to ask a kid that question and just see what amazing answers they come up with. Kids, I think, come up with some brilliant answers. Once, my little cousin, she was very young at the time, 3 or 4, and she had a bit of broccoli in her hand at Christmas, and she picked it up and she said, Uncle Pete, look at this. And she held up the stick of broccoli and she said, summer. And then she bit the top of the broccoli off, just leaving the stalk, and she said, winter. How absolutely adorable was that? All right, so we're going to finish this week with 2 things. 1, record of the week. Record of the week. This week, I found out about this band probably about 2 years too late. Their first album is called Disciples. The band is called Spitfires. I loved it. I thought it was an incredible album. I've listened to it a few times. It's a mixture between modern day The Jam, that kind of music, mixed with the Specials. And I really love his voice. He's got a real deep tone to his voice. I love the melodies. If I'm honest, the lyrics are pretty shoddy, but the melodies and his voice is amazing. I think the bass lines are nice and the drum beats are really subtle. So go and give that a listen. Spitfires. The album is called Disciples. Apparently they've done a second album. I haven't listened to it, but my mate described it as shit. But we'll give that a listen and see what happens. And finally, I'd like to turn you on to a documentary talking about the Jam. I watched this with my girl this week. It's called About the Young Idea. It came out last year. It's a great documentary about the mod revival period of 1985-ish, but the Jam obviously started in 72 but released a record in 77. It's really worth listening. It's really insightful. I thought for once it was interviews with a band and their fans, and everyone seemed equal in a documentary. They didn't feel like the band were above anyone. I thought the 3 members of the Jam, Weller, Foxton, Rick Butler, were all very, very honest about what would happen. They were asked if they would do a reunion. Of course, they split up December the 11th, 1982, after playing their final gig at the Brighton Centre near where I live. And they said there was no chance they'd do a reunion. They would ruin it, and it was absolute rubbish. Alright, so I am going to finish the podcast there. We will try Cantankerous Man again next week, guys. I do apologise. I'm sure he does as well, or he might not. He might just say, sod off, I can't be here every week. We will make it up to you and give you a ring next week. But until then, we are done. Cantankerous Man. Right, I'm back. This is probably a few minutes after we finished, but managed to hopefully get hold of Cantankerous Man. So I'm just going to give him a quick ring now. Let's see what this lovely fella's got to say.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Hello, you alright?
Yeah, you? How's it going, Cantankerous Man?
Oh, it's been a great day, mate, isn't it?
Has it?
Great day.
What have you been doing?
Yeah. Working.
Working a lot, haven't you?
Getting screamed at. Getting moaned at. Love it.
I thought you liked it when women screamed and moaned at you.
It's been a long time since that happened, mate.
Is it?
Long time since that happened. Yeah.
Oh, Oh. Well, it's over now. Football's on.
Yeah, it's a sore subject as well, isn't it? When you're a Newcastle fan.
It is a bit. It's not ideal, mate. It's not ideal being a Newcastle fan in times like this.
It's better when there's no football on, because you can't be disappointed. You can't be let down.
No.
Again. Yeah.
Whose fault do you think that is? Is it Ashley's fault, or is it the team's fault, or what?
It's from the top down, isn't it? It's from the top down.
It is from the top down.
I don't think you can criticise Ashley this season. He spent the money, but it's not worked, is it?
Doesn't seem. I mean,
you almost hope for relegation just to get a clear out again.
Yeah.
When we bounced back up before, things went well for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
You almost kind of just need to go down and start again, start over.
Yeah, might be the best way forward. But you brought in lots of players in January, and you still haven't really done anything, have you? Let's be fair. I mean, I don't mean to bring you down further. That's the last thing I want you to do, but
yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it didn't go well last game, did it, against Chelsea?
No, not at all.
One with my dad. We paused it at 2-0 in like the 16th minute or something.
Yeah.
He had to go do something. Came back, pressed play. Within a minute, they'd scored again. It's like, do we really want to bother watching this? It's 3-0 already after like 17 minutes.
No.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm going to become a Leicester fan. They have fun.
Yeah, they do. Top of the league. Sitting pretty played tonight, don't they, Leicester? So yeah, I just wanted to pick your brains about something, really, mate.
Okay.
Well, I was reading. I'm vegetarian, me. I've been vegetarian for nearly 10 years. And I just wanted your opinion on corn products and products of a meat substitute nature.
It just pisses me off, Pete. You know, let's just start with that. It pisses me off.
Why is that?
My mum's a vegetarian. I go around for dinner or something. I go around, try and help myself to something in the fridge or the freezer.
Yeah.
And make my own dinner. I can't get past the fucking corn in the freezer. It just sits there. It just sits there, unused. Fucking corn. If you want to be a vegetarian, just eat plants. Just eat the fucking plant. They only have to go in the fridge. Eat peppers, eat tomatoes, whatever you want to eat. But if you're a vegetarian, don't go out for a meat substitute. If you don't want to eat meat, don't eat meat, and don't look for a substitute for it. Just eat what you've decided to eat.
See, you're not partial.
Honestly,
You're not partial to a veggie sausage, or
no? I've never tried one. I never will.
Mushroom burger.
Because I'll just eat a real sausage. I'll just have a sausage. If I want meat, I'll eat meat. Now, you know, I understand why some people become vegetarian. You know, the whole food industry, it's not great. Some of those animals live in filth and squalor and have a pretty horrible, sticky end. But at the same time, I'm not going to be a vegetarian. I like meat. I like it too much.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not going to go out and start buying Linda McCartney, is it? Or some shit like that. Is it Linda McCartney?
Yeah, Linda McCartney, yeah, does decent sausages,
Yeah.
She does, yeah.
Yeah.
Mushroom, mate, they're made of mushrooms.
I had a conversation with my mum over the weekend. So I've got some Linda McCartney stuff. Don't care. You know, when I go round there and she makes something up that includes meat, she has to make 2 separate dishes.
Yeah.
Doubling the work for herself.
Yeah.
What's the point? Just eat the meat.
Well, if you ate meat substitute, it would be one, wouldn't it?
You not eating it is not going to stop that animal being killed. It's already been killed.
Yeah.
Already been killed. Just eat the meat. It's there to be eaten now. Poor thing's died already. You may as well eat it. You may as well, you know, give it a reason for death. At least eat it.
Give it a reason for death. But what about if everyone stopped it? Well, not everyone, but if more people stopped eating meat, there would be, and this is not my opinion, I'm not one of those preacher vegetarians, but
Well, I know where you're going with this. We'd be left with a massive surplus of livestock. What are we going to do with it all?
Yeah.
Farmers can't afford to keep feeding it if they're not going to make any money off of it. We're just left with this glut of livestock.
Yeah.
We've got to wait to die of natural causes.
Yeah. I think you might be right there.
And then we've got to deal with the disposal of it.
Yeah. But
Let's just eat it. Let's just eat it.
What do you think about people that would eat meat but would sometimes forego meat for a vegetarian option?
Why? I mean, what's going through their minds when they do that? Just eat the meat.
You wouldn't go for a veggie option ever?
No, never, mate. Never.
Never ever?
On the odd rare occasion, I'll have a nut roast instead of roast beef on a Sunday or something like that.
Oh, hang on.
That's it.
Hang on.
That is it.
So that's a veggie option. That is...
But that's not some fake meat, is it, Pete? It's nuts and whatnot. It's not, some weird tofu shit or whatever they turn into a sausage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.